Think about your city. Is it built around one massive industry? Detroit and cars, Silicon Valley and tech? We're told these economic titans are invincible, but what happens when that single industry takes a sudden, violent hit? The common sense answer? They bounce back. Well, common sense is completely dangerously wrong. Today, we're exposing the one industry death trap in this explainer, and we're going to see exactly how a temporary shock kills a city forever.
So, can a city actually survive a temporary crisis? I mean, think about it. If the factories are standing and the workers are still there, the industry should just pause, right? Take the hit and restart when the dust settles. We naturally assume strong cities always bounce back. But spoiler alert, they don't.
Brace yourself for a reality check. The absolute biggest myth in local economics is that temporary pain cleanses the market and actually makes a city stronger. Wrong. The brutal reality, backed by hardcore historical data, proves the exact opposite. A temporary shock doesn't just hurt a city, it permanently cripples its trajectory. It literally loses its competitive edge for good. And to prove this, we're diving into one of the most massive historical natural experiments ever recorded.
Okay, picture this. The year is 1861. The U.S. Civil War breaks out. Suddenly, boom, the supply of raw cotton from the American South is completely shut off. Now let's look across the ocean at the booming one-industry towns of northwest England. These places relied entirely on that specific cotton. We're talking about the absolute powerhouses of the British Empire here, with 30% of their workforce completely dedicated to cotton textiles. Almost overnight, their single vital input just vanished into thin air.
The immediate devastation? Unbelievable. The supply chain just snapped. Literally hundreds of thousands of workers were thrown into instant destitution. The data shows this massive spike in able-bodied workers, people who were fully capable and ready to work, suddenly begging for poor relief in these cotton counties, way more than anywhere else in the country. It was a complete systemic economic heart attack. Let's hit the brutal data. During this shock decade, population growth in these specific cotton towns absolutely plummeted. We're talking a drop of 7 to 13 percentage points compared to other English cities. Do you realize how massive that is? That wiped out literally half of their normal growth rate. People just fled. They stopped moving in. These booming cities shrink hard. But here's where the story gets really, really dark. The historical records reveal a true tragedy. During the war, the growth of these cotton towns just flatlines. But what happens after the war ends? Sure, the growth goes up again, but it runs perfectly parallel to its old, lowered trend. It never catches up to the other unharmed textile towns. Ever. Even decades later, the gap remained. This temporary shock caused a permanent, irreversible brain drain. Now, this brings us to the core mystery of our analysis. You're probably thinking, well, the cotton industry itself must have died, right? Absolutely not. Raw materials eventually flowed back in from India and Egypt. Production completely bounced back. The main industry survived just fine. So why on earth did the cities permanently shrink? Make it make sense.
To figure this out, we have to track the exact timeline of the chaos. You see, it wasn't just about a lack of cotton. It was about wild, unpredictable uncertainty. In October 1864, rumors of peace triggered what they called a peace panic. Then, in March 1865, the Confederacy started collapsing. And here's the kicker. Every single time peace looked close, the price of raw materials violently crashed. The price fluctuations were insane. Cotton prices rocketed up during the shortage, naturally. But then came these massive, sudden drops. Imagine being a mill owner holding thousands of pounds of wildly expensive inventory, and suddenly a price crash wipes out your entire fortune overnight. It was a bloodbath. These violent crashes forced major cotton mills into sudden, catastrophic bankruptcy.
And that triggers a totally invisible domino effect. It goes like this. Step 1, cotton prices crash. Step 2, the mills suddenly pause production or just go totally bankrupt. Step 3, because they paused, they immediately stop buying from their local metal and machinery suppliers. And step 4, those highly skilled suppliers die off. Just like that, the city permanently loses its underlying industrial edge.
This right here is the absolute masterpiece of this research. To prove this invisible link, researchers hand-collected 40,000 historical bankruptcy records. And the pattern is undeniable. Exactly 1 month after the cotton mills panicked and went under, the local suppliers went bankrupt too. The true lasting destruction wasn't the cotton mills themselves. It was the trailing bankruptcies of the entire underlying ecosystem.
We actually have the smoking gun from the data, 3.7 times. Following a sudden panic in the cotton market, the bankruptcy rate for local metal and machinery suppliers spiked 3.7 times higher than normal. Think about who these people were. These were the guys building the steam engines, the guys making the complex looms, the heavy hitters of the Industrial Revolution. And they were getting utterly wiped out by a shock that wasn't even in their own industry. Crazy, right?
The long-term employment data is just devastating. The cotton jobs eventually came back, sure, but the high-skill machinery suppliers suffered a massive permanent loss. Their talent left, the specialized firms died, and researchers proved this scientifically by comparing them to a control group of towns that made wool and silk instead. The wool towns? Totally fine. But in the cotton towns, that crucial, invisible supply chain was broken forever.
So here is the brutal takeaway. Protecting a city's main industry means absolutely nothing if you let its supply chain starve. The cotton mills fully recovered, but the local supply chain died. Get this, half of the entire city's employment loss came from outside the cotton sector. This shatters everything we thought we knew about economic resilience. Temporary shocks create permanent scars, simply because they destroy deeply connected, invisible networks. Let's ground this in the researchers' exact words. They noted that this economic transmission occurred primarily through the link to capital suppliers, and roughly half of the reduction in city-level employment growth was due to industries other than cotton. This is a massive revelation. Past analysis totally missed this underlying rot. This proves that a shock to just one sector silently infects inter-industry connections to permanently cripple an entire urban economy. Now sure, this happened in the 19th century, but the threat is fully alive today. Think about your own city. If you rely on one massive tech giant, one auto manufacturer, or one dominant energy sector, what happens to your invisible supply chain when the inputs stop tomorrow? The main company might easily survive a bad year, but the local suppliers won't. And once they're gone, your city's competitive edge is gone forever. So are you living in a one-industry death trap? Really think about it.